Okay, so we're gonna slide the tank under using our table here. Move some of these hoses so it'll make it. Okay. And then I'll get underneath and make sure it's lined up properly. All right, as you can see, I have the tank jacked up into place. You know, a little low, but you know, within this bar. Let's see. Let's see, we have access to most of the things we need. Most of the hose clamps. This hose clamp, probably have to rotate it, but I get some access. Make sure that pump controller is not interfering with the tank. I don't think it is, but could be wrong. We have this here. This will be our fuel line. Let's see, somewhere around here. Just have to feel around for it. Here's our other line. That goes to this T. Hopefully you're able to see all this. Here's the line that goes to the side barb here. So all that leaves is the big one. I don't know how well you can see it, but I've got the inlet more or less lined up. You can see, I hope, right in there, maybe just things are lining up just barely. I'm gonna have to kind of wiggle it into place. I think it'll be about impossible for me to film that. I'm having trouble filming it like this. So I'm gonna have to wiggle that onto the tank, but the good news is I don't think my controller mounted area clears with plenty of space. So you can see I got the tank hanging under its own hardware finally. So I did a few steps off camera because the fitting of this would have been very, very difficult to do while filming. Honestly, a lot of it's hard to get your head to even see yourself in there. But kind of the process was I had this up on the table, got it roughly positioned, you know, for some space on either side. Say about that much space either side. Let's see if I get the camera up in here. On the hose for the large T, I don't know if you can see this. You can see it's, you know, putting the camera up here, you still can't see, it's so tight. But for the red hose, I found it helpful to put it on the T end versus connected to your auxiliary tank when you're trying to fit this. The reason is it's kind of hard to manhandle this T. I still need to tighten these hose clamps, but it's kind of hard to manhandle the T if the hose isn't on it. But when you put the hose on, it actually becomes a lot easier to manhandle it, and then you can more easily aim it towards the port on the tank. So I found it much easier to have it on this T part and then fit it towards the tank. The one downside, of course, is that's the side you really can't see, so you had to do it a lot by feel, or come through our opening up over here, looking over the frame rail. That's another way you can kind of see it. Again, not a lot of space to work with, but that's what ended up working for me. So yeah, so fit the tank up, you know, supported by either you and a buddy, which I'll admit, you'll be holding it for a while. I really liked having that lift table. But I got the hose fitted onto the T, or from the T onto the tank. That's step one. And then step 2 is I found it a lot easier to do the U-bolt, to put the U-bolts through first, and then do this end on our support bar next. The reason for that was honestly it fit when I did it that way versus it wouldn't fit when I was trying to do it the other way. So doing it this way worked a lot better. Something else is passenger side, way in the back of the tank, there's actually a connector, and you know, I can probably just show you it right through here. This connector here, that was hard mounted in right where the tank was trying to go when I was pushing this up there, and the tank would not go in because of this connector. That was not in the directions. So I got my panel pop tool and I popped it out, and then the tank was able to fit. So I'd recommend popping that out earlier. I'm gonna have to find something to zip tie it to keep it from, as you can see, it's, you know, pretty loose right now. I'll have to find something to zip tie it to. Would have been nice to know that that was in the way before I had the tank in. Probably could have relocated it nicely, but no. I didn't know that till I already pretty much had the tank in, so I just had to reach up through here and pop that. So that's something, again, that wasn't in the directions that I came across as an issue. But yeah, so I think if you follow that process for fitting the tank, it'll work a lot better. Yeah, so the tank's fitted. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up the hose clamps. The last hose I'm going to do is this one here, the one that comes from our weld on. And the reason for that is it seems to me like that one, or the one of the lower hose clamp on the red big hose, I think the only way I can tighten that is through where this hose tries to go. So I'll do that one last after I tighten that one. One more thing that I found, I unfortunately can't show you because it's, I can try, but maybe you can see, it's so, there's so little space, it'd be really hard to see. I have a hard time getting my eyes somewhere where I can see it, but that pump bracket that I ended up relocating elsewhere, that location did work for me. The one thing is a slightly tight fit is the bracket underneath that kind of protects it. One, that's unnecessary now because the tank is under it, so that protects it. The tank protects it. And then two, that almost gets in the way of a hose. I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze some edge trim onto the edge of that. Oh, actually, you might be able to see it there. Yeah, I might squeeze some edge trim. You can probably, I think you can see how close that hose is. I'm gonna squeeze some edge trim on that edge to protect the hose from that. But other than that, it actually fit up in there rather well. So that was a good place to relocate it to. I'm happy with that. At this point, I'm going to recommend going back to our system connection diagram shown here. Go ahead and make sure that you have everything in place is lined up here. You have all of your hose clamps tightened, all of the mounting hardware tightened, and make sure that you have the electrical connections hooked up here. I don't end up showing this on camera, but for a lot of the electrical connections, I just ended up plugging in the opposite sides of the connectors. But at this point, the connections for the tank should be done. So just go through everything one more time and confirm everything's connected as it should be.